not really sure how I'm feeling today. It's a very odd mix. Who's good, potatoes? Spin the leak here. Time for a movie review. This time around, it's gonna be Hercules, not that Disney one, the 2014 edition with Dwayne Johnson, who is the shit. Loved him ever since Scorpion King, but I'm way too young to have enjoyed him during his wrestling career. Either way, the guy looks like he could crush your skull with like a flick of his pinky, but at the same time, the dude's a total teddy bear. He's a very upstanding guy for a respectable human being. I love his work. Well, first of all, what did this one have that the Disney one didn't? It actually tied in very closely to the lore, or the original Hercules mythology. The 12 trials, as well as, him going insane because of Hera's curse, murdering his family, blah, blah, blah. But it puts a very realistic twist on it, saying that he was never really a demigod and all this jazz, that most of it was smoke and mirrors, that there were adequate and, reasonable explanations for all the myths, the Hydra, the boar, the lion. It was very fun. It was action-packed, not too crazy with the CG. It was a great watch all around, but rewatchability went way, way down simply because it's... Once you've seen the twist and you've watched the movie, you're probably not going to pick it up for another year or two. That's how it is with most action movies typically. Was I glued to the screen? Not really. I did have fun with it. I did enjoy watching the entire adventure. I loved the characters. I loved a lot of the actors involved, but at the same time, it didn't really mold too perfectly. Some of the characters gave no dialogue at all. Most of them were side characters. The ones that actually were heavily involved didn't really have that much of a presence, because you know how actions movie are. It's mostly just, grunting and grungy voices. The one character that kind of stood out, can't remember the name that they gave him. Basically, he was a seer. He had witnessed his own death, and it was constantly being taken away from him. That was a very likable character. Another would be, I think he was from... I can't remember his name. I think he was from Thieves or something. The guy who had no dialogue except for one word throughout the entire movie. Very enjoyable character, simply because of his childish nature, because of how feral he was. I can't really give this one a high rating because rewatchability went down, and the escalation of the story and the foreseeable plot twist, that was all good, but it lacked a certain character. It lacked a certain amount of character all throughout. While the cast was on point, while the visuals were awesome, it really didn't have a very tragic tone, even though it was portraying a very tragic story. And I have to take away from that. This one, I'm really middle of the road with a lot of my ratings. And sometimes I give tough love to a lot of the movies I like. This is going to be one of those instances. I'm going to give it 2.5. It hasn't held up well. That aside, I do really enjoy this movie. I mean, fuck's sake, I gave Labyrinth a low rating, and I love that movie to death. But yeah, no, regardless of how I feel about it, I do feel that in the entertainment industry, this is one of the mid to low points. It's just the way it is. So, yeah, 2.5 potatoes. Have you seen this film? What are you planning on doing? Are you planning on watching it at some point in the future? Post all that in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, keep on keeping on, and I ain't got nothing against The Rock.